only radio show of its kind. Auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, veterans of vintage. It's the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. For the next hour, enjoy great information about buying and selling antiques and collectibles, and some interesting stories. Now, the Donnelly Auctions Hour.
Welcome to the Donnelly Auctions Hour. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Susan and Randy Donnelly of Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois. You know, we're just 60 miles west of Chicago, folks. We hope to see some of you this weekend. We have a big auction coming up. But I'm here with Randy. Hi, Randy. We have a lot of stuff going on
Susan.
this week to catch everyone up on, and some very interesting topics of discussion in this episode.
Yes, we do. And why don't we start out by saying, actually, right now, today, as we speak, we have a gun auction going on. So
that's right.
It's 1 o'clock now, so you know we're
get in your car. Just get in your car, set the GPS for 8512 South Union Road, and head on out to Donnelly Auctions. We have over 500 firearms today, so they're going to be going up for auction for a couple more hours.
Or jump on the computer, DonnellyAuctions.com, because the auction is going on right now as we speak. That's the guns today. But tomorrow, you still have time tomorrow, too, for our military auction.
That's right, the military auction. And tell us about some great things coming up in the military auction.
Oh, there's so much fun stuff. I mean, you know, we've got all the basics. We've got the helmets and uniforms and medals, weapons, you know, swords, bayonets, daggers, all kinds of fun stuff. But some of the highlight pieces, I have to say, is in the uniforms. I was looking through, and we've got a World War I photographer, an aerial photographer's uniform. Now, imagine this. First, aviation is in its infancy in World War I. But World War I photography up in the air, I mean, you know how few people were doing that and how rare a uniform is that's actually a photographer's uniform.
Wow,
they're,
that's great.
They're scarce as hen's teeth, but all kinds of fun stuff. You know, we've got a steering wheel off of a B-17 bomber.
That's right. All of that coming up for auction tomorrow, Sunday, July 16th. It's already July. Can you believe that? July 16th. The auction starts at 10 a.m., folks, but our doors open at 8. So
Viewing,
Yep, you can come on out for coffee and donuts. We have pizza and beer for lunch, water, free beverages. Everything's complimentary, so if you can take a ride out, please do.
Yeah, so don't miss this week's auction.
That's right.
Going on right now.
One of the many things we're going to talk about today. Also coming up in this episode, things that happen at Donnelly Auctions this week. It's been a week for sure. We've had steam engines arrive. We're going to talk about that. A Hop-Along Cassidy trailer. I can't wait to hear more about that. That slot machine that walked in the door. We got to talk about the kerosene lamps and the fishing reels, which, by the way, remember last week we talked about the fishing lures and the fishing reels. They were supposed to be in this auction this weekend. We ended up pulling them out.
Yep.
We pulled them out. So we're going to do that as a separate auction, and that's coming up on August 7th. It's a Monday.
Yeah, but the decoys are still in.
My duck decoys are still in, so don't forget to look for the glass eyes.
Yep. But the lures we did have to pull, so that's going to be a online only auction.
That's right. August 7th.
What do you call it? You had a trick name for that auction.
Lamps and lures.
Lamps
and lures. Yeah, that's coming up.
Kerosene lamps and lures. I don't know how they tie in together, but
who knows? But keep an eye on our website at DonnellyAuctions.com. We do have a calendar of events coming up for the rest of the year, so you can put that on your calendar as well for when you can come out and bid with us.
You know, I just have so much fun doing this. It's just
you do. This
it never
is your
seems like a job.
For sure.
I just saw a quote from Thomas Edison that says, "I never did a day's work in my life."
Oh my gosh, the man who never slept, just like you.
Yeah, but that's the way I feel about this. You know, I love the size of our company, Susan. I really do, because although we're one of the larger auction companies in the entire state and even in the country, I mean, Donnelly Auctions is not at all a small company. However, we're just small enough that I can still be on a very personal level where, you know, I get to talk to everybody and go out on leads and everything. And that's truly my passion. I love what I do because of the interesting people I meet and the fact that I can still take phone calls and talk to everybody.
Well, yesterday a couple came in. They didn't have an appointment, and they wanted to talk to somebody about a collection that they had. You were running in a million different directions. Everybody was on projects. And Randy's like, who's that in the foyer? I said, go talk to them. They live in Fontana. Let's go see who they are. So Randy took time out of his day. You went over there and had a really nice conversation with them and found out that they have a fantastic coin collection.
Yeah, what a great business this is. It really is. And the fact that we can help people, actually dispose of, some of these situations people get themselves into with inheritance from relatives and friends and everything.
It's overwhelming.
It really is.
So we're always looking for collections. I was just telling Randy today, I love specific certain collections that are around the same theme. I love that. We can take one item, high-end, high-value items is what we're looking for right now. It's never too late to consign with DonleyAuctions.com.
And here's something else, too, our listeners need to know, is that sometimes people want us simply to sell an item for them. It doesn't necessarily have to go to an auction. That wonderful Hopalong Cassidy trailer, an old 1950s Airstream trailer.
That's right.
That Hopalong Cassidy actually used when he was filming his TV series in the 1950s. This is Hopalong Cassidy's trailer. Now, if it doesn't sell beforehand, we will auction it in November. But right now, we've just put that up for sale.
Oh, it's just for sale?
Yep. So if somebody wants to buy Hopalong Cassidy's Airstream trailer,
that's fantastic.
We have that.
Well, that show came out way before I was born, so I never got a chance to really understand who he was or what the show was about, the books, the movies. So I did a little homework on that. You want me to ask you a trivia question?
I do.
What was the name of Hopalong Cassidy's horse?
Oh, gosh, I should know that.
You should know. You watched all that
help
stuff.
Me out.
His name was Topper.
Oh,
his
Topper.
Name was Topper.
Yes.
And his Topper's original saddle from the movies and the TV show is in Texas.
Wow.
And I think we need to contact them about this trailer.
Oh,
that's a place
absolutely.
where, we got to get on the phone with them.
Or anybody listening out there can own Hopalong Cassidy's trailer. Just contact us.
And, a lot of that memorabilia is still valuable today. They manufactured and reproduced a lot of the lunch boxes and those sort of things. But there is some other vintage memorabilia that still may be of value today. Does anyone know where his original firearm is? That would be great to find.
Yeah. So, hey, we're looking for Hopalong Cassidy's pistols.
Anything original from the movies or, the movie memorabilia is really good, too.
We can sell it for you. But, all those old television and movie series cowboys, all that stuff is so collectible. I mean, Hopalong Cassidy or Tom Mix preceded Hopalong Cassidy. Mm-hmm. He was in the movies in the early years. And then, of course, everybody knows the Lone Ranger and his music from the TV series, which lasted so many years.
Don't you have a story about the Lone Ranger?
Do I have time for that right now?
You can sum it up quickly.
Real quick, the Lone Ranger actually came to visit amusement park in Chicago. What was the name of that park?
Old Chicago.
Old Chicago.
It wasn't Chicago. It was in Bolingbrook.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Old Chicago.
So he comes out there to make a personal appearance, but in the meantime, through the airlines and everything else, his pistols get stolen. And he comes to make a personal appearance, and his agent has to find him guns real fast. They look in then, at that time, the phone book, and they find the Wild West Town, Donnelly's Wild West Town. And they call us in a panic. They need guns. Mm-hmm. So I actually brought a pair of pistols out to Bolingbrook and met the Lone Ranger. And
who was the actor?
His name was Clayton Moore.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And we actually became very good friends, and we corresponded for years. He lived in Encino, California, mm-hmm. and what a nice individual. But
story.
I do actually have my picture with him hanging in the Wild West Town.
Were you a big Hopalong Cassidy fan?
No, that was really a little pre-me.
Was it?
Little too early for me.
The show, the TV show, it ran from 1935 to 1948 and kind of up to 1952. But, it stopped after that. And then they, what's the actor's name?
William Boyd.
William Boyd,
Yeah.
yes. He died in 1972, and he did not make any appearances for a very long time because he didn't want anybody to see him aging because they knew all of his fans saw him as a young hero.
Yeah.
So interesting. So anyway, Hopalong Cassidy trailer coming up for auction.
And we're still looking for Hopalong Cassidy items, Lone Ranger items, Tom Mix, any of the early cowboy stars.
Yeah, and Hollywood memorabilia, too, for sure. You can send some information to us at consign, CONSIGN, at DonleyAuctions.com. Send us some information and pictures. We would love to hear what you have. But don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to talk about the steam engines that arrived. All kinds of great stuff here at Donley Auctions on the Donley Auctions Hour. You're listening to us right here every Saturday at 1 o'clock on AM 560, The Answer.
They've been called auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, even veterans of vintage. And they can introduce themselves. Thanks for listening. This is the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, co-owner of Donley Auctions, here with Randy Donley. Hi, Randy. What a week we've had.
Oh, it has been, yeah.
So much has happened this week. We talked a little bit in the last segment about the Hopalong Cassidy trailer.
Sure.
But also, tell us about the big 2 trailers full of steam engines that arrived yesterday.
Incredible. And these are totally restored. And that's one problem I have with us being on the radio. I wish we were on television.
So we could show photos of it.
Yeah, it's hard for us to explain if you don't know what these steam engines or traction engines and everything are.
What do you mean, a TV show? Did you say we should be on the TV show?
I think we should. So
you imagine showing everybody these steam engines as they're coming in the door. It was amazing.
Our product, unfortunately, is very visual.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough to explain. We talk about steam engines. People don't know if we're talking about a little toy steam engine that you hold in your hands, you would have played with when you were a kid. We're talking huge pieces of equipment that, big industrial plants would have used years ago at the turn of the century, and these are totally restored, painted up, pinstripe,
beautiful,
all gorgeous. But one of them, weighed 15 ton, 30,000 pounds.
Wow!
And just the equipment to unload it and everything. What a project! And we had to move these into our building.
Right,
just absolutely
the weight
incredible.
of them, and of course the forklift.
Yeah, one being a steam traction engine. So even it runs by steam. It's like a steam tractor, so to speak. A big, again, huge piece of equipment. And, of course, we sent out photos. And lo and behold, who calls right away?
I bet I can guess.
Our good friend Greg Grams. Greg from Volo Auto Museum called and he said, okay, you've enticed me, Randy.
What do you got now?
What about these? And, in our last segment, I said that we can, sell items pre-auction. And this is the type of thing that, although if it does not sell beforehand, we will sell in November.
Right.
But in the meantime, if we have people like Greg, for example, who could be interested in this, we'll certainly make deals before the auctions, with the consignor's approval and everything. So these are items that can be sold, again, pre-auction.
So these are the types of items we're looking for the November Fall Classic. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Big, beautiful, expensive items. Mm-hmm. And of course, like I say, Greg from Volo Auto Museum is coming out to look at it.
That's great. If you haven't been out to Volo Museum, we were there a couple weeks ago. What a fascinating place that is.
It is.
You got to get out and visit it, folks. Volo Museum in Volo.
As a matter of fact, they're running a fundraiser today.
That's right. Check their website. They have events going on all the time.
Yeah.
Take the family. Definitely a family-friendly place. And you need all day, at least a day, to get through it all. But the other thing I saw come in the door was that slot machine.
Yes.
So that's also in November. That's a beauty. Tell us about that.
Slot machines are always saleable. It's just such an incredible hobby, collecting coin-operated items, especially coin-operated gambling. But the earliest slot machines are not the three-reelers that you think about with
the lemon and the cherries and all that.
Yeah. You pull the arm. They're called one-arm bandits, so to speak. That's not what this is. This is an upright wooden slot machine, which would have been made, closer to the turn of the century. And although if you look in old westerns, in old TV or movies, the westerns in the saloons, you'll very often see these machines in there, but they don't belong in there because they're actually made in the late 1890s, around the Spanish-American War, so 1898, and they would have been made until about 1910.
Right, so you can see whenever I go to movies with you, you're always noticing things in the bed. That shouldn't be there. That hasn't been invented yet. They didn't make that then.
Right. So this particular slot machine just walked in, just came to us, is an upright, it's a Watling slot machine made right in Chicago.
Yeah, it says New Century Detroit on it, though.
Right. That's the model.
Okay, that's the model.
And
gotcha.
it's a beauty. A good, rare slot machine. And the beauty of this is it hasn't been restored. It's all working and everything, but just like you'd like to find it with all of its original patina on it and so on.
That's right. And again, that's going to come up in our November Fall Classic. And, folks, we know everybody has something in their garage, their attic, in their basement, in their man cave, their women cave, whatever you want to call it. One item like that, oh, my gosh, that's extremely valuable. We would love to consign that for you to our November auction. So
that's it. Because a machine like this, can go $20,000 on up.
Ask, yeah.
And they're still found in garages and basements and everything. And so often, maybe the original collector may have known what the value is, but so often when people inherit these pieces, you inherit an estate or what have you, you don't necessarily know, and you gotta have to be so careful that you're not giving a lot of money away at sales and garage sales, and so you need to call us.
Call us at 815-923-7000. Randy and our experts on our staff will definitely give you a fair valuation and tell you what to do next with it.
Sure. That's always.
It's a great time to call us. So the other thing I wanted to mention, we had talked about the Hopalong Cassidy firearm. He had a 45 Colt revolver, SAA, a single action army revolver that nobody really knows where it's at. They used to have it in a museum, and one of the museums burnt down in 2016, and then they thought it was in California. So again, what a great item to find if anybody out there, if it's in a private collection. That'd be great. But we also have one of those Colt revolvers in the auction this weekend on Saturday. I'm not sure if it's already over or not, but if you go to our website at DonnellyAuctions.com, you can see what's left in the firearm category of the auction today.
Sure. I'm glad you brought up museums because we do sell for museums on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And so if you have a museum or work at a museum and have a storage problem and need to sell, most museums have a charter where they can sell items at public auction. They can't private sale it because then who knows, little side deals could be taking place that might not be legal. But it's legal to auction. And so if you know anybody that is with a museum or organization that needs to liquidate, please call Donnelly Auctions or email us
at consign@DonnellyAuctions.com.
Yep.
All right. What else we got coming up here, Randy?
Yeah, we just acquired some great Coca-Cola machines.
We did.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. I tell you, there's so much stuff coming in, I don't even see it sometimes.
Yeah.
That's great.
Coca-Cola machines, Coca-Cola signs.
Vending machines, like the big, tall vending machines?
Yeah.
Okay.
An early, completely round top,
nice.
Called a Jacobs model.
Okay.
A very early machine in all original good condition. So that's another thing we want to remind everybody. If you have a Coca-Cola collection, any signs, porcelain signs, machines. Now, we're always looking for these for our November auction.
Right.
But I want to be careful here. So often people will contact us with, collections of, coasters.
Couple hundred items. Go ahead.
The smaller, or
the
reproduction items and everything.
Trays, yeah,
and unfortunately, we can't sell that.
No.
It's not that we can't. It's just that it doesn't sell for any amount of money. So But we can still steer you in the right direction as to how to liquidate it.
That's right. And if we have a really good collection, we can sell that before the November auction, too.
Oh, sure.
If we can.
Sure.
Do you remember we had the that bicycle cooler? It was a little bicycle, and it had a Coca-Cola emblem on the side. I think it even had an umbrella on it. Oh, my gosh, what a cute item that was. We had that a couple years ago, and that sold for $2,800. So interesting items like that sell well.
And remember, again, at auction, we sold that Coca-Cola dispenser.
Yes, tell them about that.
Over $30,000.
$35,000.
The owner knew it was a good piece, and he was hoping for $10,000 to $12,000. And right before the auction, he says, I got to pull it because I've got an offer of $12,000. I said, no way. We're putting it at auction. It's advertised. It's going at auction. And it sold for over $30,000. He was willing to sell it for $12,000. Now, again, these things can only happen at auction, ladies and gentlemen. So, nobody's going to offer you more than what you're asking for it. So if you don't know what to ask, you have to be careful.
That's right. Well, don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to talk about some other items in our next segment, and we're even going to have possibly Shauna come back on to give us an update about the Donnelly Group. However, I want to touch base a little bit more on those kerosene lamps. Kerosene lamps, what's the big deal? I'll tell you all about that probably in our next segment. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Donnelly Auctions right here every Saturday on AM 560, The Answer.
You're listening to the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us during that break. You're on the radio here with Randy and Susan. We're talking about all kinds of stuff happening at Donnelly Auctions this week. One of the things was that Hopalong Cassidy movie trailer that arrived.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you ever watch that when you were a kid, Hopalong Cassidy?
I didn't. I don't know why.
Already the movies?
Like I say, I think it was already off the air. I mean, I was a kid.
You were a kid then, too.
Yeah, I was a kid more in the 60s, say.
Yeah, they had a museum in Ohio, Cambridge, Ohio, that burnt down in 2016. And they used to have a festival also that kind of coincided with all that, the Hopalong Cassidy Festival in Ohio. Well, it started dwindling. You know why? Because of the age of everybody. They started getting up in age and people weren't coming out to the festival anymore.
Wow.
So I think there's a lot of really great vintage memorabilia out there for people who have been watching them since they were kids.
Susan,
everybody collected that.
That seems to be the problem with antiques in general, is the age of collectors is just, getting there or getting older. And all these collections are coming back on the market, which is interesting because there was a real shortage for a while. Probably 10 years ago, antiques were just jumping crazy high prices, going up and up and up because there was no supply. You couldn't find the merchandise. For lack of better words, it was all collected up.
Right.
All this great stuff was collected up. Well, now that all these collectors have gotten to the age, they've either passed or they're just old, these collections are now on the market. So this type of collecting is back and available. But the problem is there's no new young collectors.
Right.
And just when I say that, it's the interesting thing to me, Susan, is that we keep saying there's no young collectors, which just isn't necessarily the case.
Right.
They're just collecting something different.
Right. Because of the aging fan base of certain collections, we have to shift our mindset on what people are collecting that are younger.
You bet.
Right?
Exactly right. And, they're collecting things that they remember. I mean, early computers and early electronics.
Right.
And
turntables and receivers and amps.
And they're collecting things like Star Wars and this type of thing. I say this all the time. My father, I use him as an example. He's 93 now. But when he started collecting in the 60s, he was collecting items that were from the teens and the 20s. But really, that stuff was only 40, 50 years old.
Right.
So if you look today, 40, 50 years ago, you're looking at 1980s,
right.
1970s.
All the stuff I used to play with, yeah.
Well, exactly. So collecting hasn't stopped. It's just changed what people collect.
Right.
So the collectors that we know, all these old timers, they don't understand why nobody wants to buy what they collected. But Grandpa's antiques aren't necessarily what's hot on today's market.
That's right. What a good point, Randy. Well, this brings me back to an auction we have coming up August 7th. I call it Lamps and Lures. We've got kerosene lamps and lanterns, and then fishing lures and reels, and we're going to add some other stuff to that as well, August 7th. But I thought, what is so interesting about kerosene lamps, that I can share with our listeners, because we want to encourage people to take an interest in some of these other items they may never even thought of. But kerosene lamps, some of them are extremely valuable. Did you know that?
Boy, I sure did.
There's a lot of them, yeah. And, they used them in the 1800s before our friend Thomas Edison. Before electricity. And then they kept them on hand still, even for emergency use. So what you want to look for in kerosene lamps is anything that's cut with like a crystal shades, if they're cut to crystal shades, anything with beautiful details, unusual colors, or any unusual features on them. Those are going to be more valuable than just your plain looking ones. Yeah. Right? So there are some, the small ones, which that has a finger loop in it, those really only sell for about $25. Give you an idea. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the blue ones with a chimney, about $70. But there's a large cranberry one out there. Cranberry color with the original shade can go for up to $850. Yeah. So,
and there are lamps
check
that
your mantle,
go into the thousands.
Your fireplace mantle. See if there's one up there.
One thing that people don't realize, you hear the term "gone with the wind" lamp.
Yes,
which actually was called a banquet lamp originally, but the banquet lamp, has a big double glass
globe,
like globes,
mm-hmm.
right?
And flowers on them, hand painted.
But they were prominently used in the movie Gone with the Wind, and so banquet lamps they got their name Gone with the Wind lamps because everybody saw them in that movie.
And they use kerosene?
They're kerosene lamps.
I'll be darned.
Well, sure. In that period of time, that's all they would have had for lighting. Yeah.
Right. Oh, great idea. So we have that auction coming up August 7th. We'll talk a little bit more about our upcoming auctions, how you can bid at them, again, how you can consign with us. And we're also going to give you an update on the Donley Group, our real estate group, headed up by Shauna Donley, who won't be able to join us today, but we're going to give a quick update on that and the Wild West Town. Randy, anything else you want to add?
No, we've got, again, a lot to talk about in the next segment. We might even touch on coins just for a few minutes.
Coins.
So stay tuned for that.
There are some that are valuable, and I know that couple that just came in the other day had a nice collection, so I'd love to hear what they have.
And that's why I wanted to discuss that. So when we come back,
Sounds good. If
let's
you're not doing
coins.
anything today, head on out to Union, Illinois for the Donley auction that's going on right now, firearms and military today and tomorrow. If you have any questions, give us a call at 815-923-7000. You are listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here every Saturday on AM 560, The Answer.
And now, more of the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Susan.
And I'm Randy Donley.
Hi, Randy. You want to talk a little bit more about lamps?
Yeah, our show, ladies and gentlemen, is so unscripted. I love it because I can just talk about anything I want to.
Yeah.
I do drive our producer nuts, I'm sure, because we don't have a script and we just go back and forth. But I wanted to mention some of the different types of kerosene lamps that people can have out there, and we're still acquiring collections. So if you have a collection of kerosene lamps and want to call us, please do.
Right, and that auction that we're doing on August 7th is only about 200 items, but what a great collection for a little mini auction online. So we can do that all the time.
And, kerosene lamps, the kerosene lamp collecting, it goes into so many, many different phases because a lot of people buy lamps and collect lamps simply by name. Mm-hmm. Aladdin being one of the most popular lamp names. Aladdin was known as Aladdin, the magic name in lamps. That's why
the little tagline,
called it
nice.
Aladdin lamps. And I believe Aladdin is still in business today. It's incredible. But a lot of people collect by names, so different brands and everything. But then there's people that collect kerosene lanterns. They collect farm lanterns. They'll collect railroad lanterns. They'll collect by style. People want just things that have more Victorian look to them, so they're collecting what they refer to as Victorian. There's people that only collect antique bicycle lamps. You think about it, pre-battery, until Thomas Edison comes up with electricity and batteries and everything else. Even the lamps on your bicycle were kerosene lamps, as were automotive lamps. In order to have headlights for a car, they at one time used kerosene lamps and all different type of
wow. Did you know
non-electric.
Here's a little bit of trivia for you. In 1846, a man named William Gessner invented a substitute for whale oil, which is what they used to use for lighting, and it's distilled from coal, and that's where you get kerosene.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. A lot of things like that, yes, happen by accident.
Right.
But, I remember, again, when I was a kid, the whole family was collecting. I remember one man that would come to our house that only collected lamps with dolphins on them. That was it.
What do you mean?
Dolphin. They were figurines of dolphins in the bases of the lamps.
Oh.
That's all he collected was dolphin lamps. So
I've not seen any of those. Have we had those at auction before?
We've had them.
Have
yeah.
we? Okay.
I'll point it out next time. But there's many, many ways to collect kerosene lamps. And
just lighting in general. Don't you think we have, what's that chandelier, that huge chandelier in the middle of our auction gallery? That thing is magnificent.
That's a huge,
speaking of lighting in general.
Yeah, that's a huge leaded glass leaded glass lamp that actually came out of an old soda fountain. And, so it's a Tiffany style. And I want to always point that out. Every time somebody sees leaded glass, they'll call it a Tiffany lamp or a Tiffany window. Well, no, Tiffany was made by Tiffany.
Right.
And so leaded glass style or Tiffany style is what you could call it. But still a huge, huge piece.
How big is that? Do you know the dimensions on that?
It's 5 foot tall.
That's right. And it has two
little side
lights that go with
lamps.
it. It's beautiful. Yes, hanging up in our gallery if anyone wants to come out and see it. Well, if you come out to the auction this weekend, you'll see it.
You bet.
That's right. So we love light fixtures, chandeliers, lanterns, lighting in general. Sells very well at auction, folks. You can send us some information on what you have. We'd love to see a photo. Consign at DonleyAuctions.com.
Yep. And then, of course, coming up, we've got an auction for coins and paper money, currency.
Yes, we do.
So that is something you want to get into. We've been doing picking up coin collections lately. And,
And Ryan, our expert on our staff here, took in a collection yesterday. And he spent an hour with everybody talking about their collection because he knows so much about them. Yeah. What have we learned from that?
Well,
What's collectible?
Always, Morgan and peace dollars, the big old silver dollars are, always collectible for more than their scrap weight. And the CC Mint is what people want to look for. The Carson City Mint is probably the most iconic and sought after of the silver dollars. So anybody with CC Mint and even in your gold pieces, gold, a lot of people are making a big mistake scrapping gold pieces. Now, if you scrap contemporary gold pieces, that very often makes sense. In many, many cases, gold is worth, gold pieces are worth the gold scrap value.
Right.
And that's substantial. And a lot of people make money doing that. But some of these old gold pieces get turned in for scrap. And the scrappers will take them right out and auction them or sell them for the coin value. So please be careful on your gold pieces.
Yeah, give us a call at 815-923 if you have coins you have questions about, and we'll direct you to Ryan.
You bet. Simple things like an Indian head penny, an 1877 Indian head penny is an extremely rare piece. A 1937 D, a three-legged buffalo nickel. In just common condition.
Three-legged buffalo.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
There's a leg missing off of it in the mold, and those can go from $500 into the thousands, depending on condition.
Well, good to know. We have that auction coming up. We also have a barn auction coming up on Saturday, August 5th here in Marengo Union area. Check our website for that at donleyauctions.com. We have so many auctions coming up, folks. Camera collection in September. More guns and military in September. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Donley Auctions every Saturday at 1 o'clock. Set your timer on your phone so you don't miss us. On AM 560, The Answer.
The Donley Auctions Hour continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour. We've been talking about so many things today, right, Randy? You're here with Susan and Randy. We're with Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. And things have been happening this week, upcoming auctions, how to consign, how to bid. What else you want to add to that?
You know, I want to always remind our lawyers and executors of estates out there that we can help you.
Yes, we can.
To help liquidate, some of these huge collections that people have acquired over the years.
How do they do that?
Well, simply by calling, right?
That's right. Give us a call at 815-923-7000. Emails are helpful, too. We have several staff that can help, take those emails and get them to the right people to answer your questions.
We just sold a property in Brookfield, and and we don't normally do this. We were originally called for the antiques in the house.
Right.
We ended up taking out of the house what we wanted, but since we sold the real estate so fast, we are helping them with a conducted sale.
Okay.
This is going to be in Brookfield, so watch our website because we are going to do the entire house sale for them.
Wow.
And liquidate everything. We have their antiques, their guns, coins, everything that is going to be auctioned. And now we sold the real estate. That's the Donley Group with my daughter, Shauna.
That's right.
Heads that up, so you can call us for real estate needs. So I always, again, reminding executors and lawyers to give us a call. And, cities and American Legion halls also. If you have big artillery pieces, big cannons or tanks.
We love cannons, don't we?
Any of this big equipment, some of it, unfortunately, has just become a liability in parks because kids climb on it, they can get hurt.
Right.
And if you're pulling any monuments or cannons and tanks out of parks and stuff, again, especially American Legions, give us a call.
Give us a call at 815-923-7000. Big or small, Randy Donley does it all, that's for sure.
We can make it fit in your wallet.
That's
there
right.
You go.
So just a quick reminder, we do have the auction this weekend, firearms, ammunition, and military. But we had so much stuff come in that we're going to do a second auction coming up soon enough, September 23rd and 24th.
For more guns.
For more
Absolutely.
guns, yeah. So definitely call us and ask for Neil, and he will definitely walk you through the steps for either picking them up, because we do carry an FFL. We can come pick them up and transport them for you, or we can make an appointment and come visit us.
Yeah. We just had a gentleman call us with 20 Colt Python pistols.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Imagine that. That's just a great collection.
Right.
So never too many. I mean, so often widows call us with over 100 guns, and we'll come and do everything. We will transport it. We'll do all the legal paperwork.
All the inventory, all the paperwork.
And we do all our own shipping also.
Check all the serial numbers. We toe the line with the ATF, so got to make sure we're right on board with all of that. So never too soon to consign with us. Send us an email at consign, CONSIGN, at donleyauctions.com. We'd love to see some photos and some information, where you're located, that sort of thing. And then we'll just give you a call and work out what the next steps would be.
And don't forget, vintage cars, motorcycles, gas pumps,
boats.
porcelain signs. As long as they're old wooden boats.
Wood boats, right? Yeah, we love those. Great stuff for our November auction is what we're looking for right now. However, if you have a large collection or just one item of value, or you don't even know the value, let us know. We would love to talk to you at 815-923-7000. Again, if you want to bid with us, check our website, walk you through the steps on how to bid in person, absentee bids, phone bids. Any last words, Randy? No. Come on out to the auction. For now, I'm Susan.
And I'm Randy Donnelly.
And
we'll see you at the auction.
Thanks for listening to the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Check out all the latest information on upcoming auctions and collectibles at DonnellyAuctions.com. And while you're there, you can contact someone about buying or selling your collectibles or estates. That's DonnellyAuctions.com.